So welcome everybody to another episode of 9 to 5 Mac Overtime. I am Fernando, and this is my co-host,
Jeff. How's it going, everybody?
You doing anything this weekend?
Actually, this weekend, I'm going to be working on some things that I've been promising to the people for a while now. So
Leave some comments down below to inspire Jeff to get that thing out. I got two that I'm looking forward to personally from Jeff. We got the Vision Pro, and we got his studio tour, which from the previews I've seen, I'm going to hype it up for you. I'm going to be your hype man for that one.
You gonna be my hype man? All right.
I'll be your hype man.
Let me just do a quick little sneak preview here. Let's see. What can I do it? Let me see. So here's the overhead shot, one click. Yeah. And here's the wide shot, one click. Bam, bam, bam. So that's
simplicity, efficiency.
Yeah. One cable makes it all possible.
That's crazy.
So there's a new MacBook, not a new MacBook, but there's a MacBook that's in a store that it previously was not in before.
Yeah, which
that was a really awkward way of saying that Walmart now sells the M1 MacBook.
Which was surprising. It was like, I didn't know that Walmart didn't sell MacBooks in general. I guess I've never gone to the tech, or I guess I haven't noticed in the tech section. I guess I don't go to Walmart to buy Apple products, but now they have it, and it's probably the best deal in tech, honestly. $699 for a brand new M1, well, like you said, brand new M1 MacBook Air. I mean, that's the recommendation to give most people that don't need a lot of power.
It's probably the best deal in Macs right now. This is the best deal in Macs, period. Because it's $699, you get an Apple Silicon chip, you get a screen, you get a keyboard, you get a trackpad, you get Mac OS. It's the perfect entry gateway to the Mac ecosystem for sure. Yeah.
And even if you're doing probably not heavy tasks, but a little bit of editing here and there, I could definitely handle it for sure. Like I know my brother still has his M1 MacBook Air. And he's in the recruiting world, so he's on LinkedIn a lot. Chrome tabs are open all the time. He's got YouTube videos playing. He's got the baseline model, and he sees no reason to upgrade right now. Even though I told him, I was like, yo, the M3 just came out if you want one. He's like, nah, my M1 MacBook Air is still going strong.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's the M1 MacBook Air is, it's solid. It can easily edit videos on that thing. You could easily run a whole business from just that one machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in terms of videos this week, I released a couple, but I did want to highlight one, which I enjoy doing because I was telling you earlier that I did a little bit of a deep dive for the first time into the shortcuts world. I basically made a tutorial on how to map your action button and create a shortcut menu with your action button.
What's the action button? Just kidding.
That new little button that came out?
Yeah. I know one that I pressed twice in my entire ownership of the iPhone 15 Pro.
I'm not gonna lie. I did start the video by saying that in the beginning I mapped it a couple times. I kind of used it, but then forgot about it. And then I saw some Reddit threads and some articles of people kind of really going crazy with this thing. And the sky's the limit if you really want to play with the action button and merge it with shortcuts and things like that. So like I said, I took a deep dive into shortcuts, which is something I haven't really done. And there's a lot that you can do with shortcuts. It's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely unreal. Do you mess with shortcuts at all or no?
I do. Actually, that's part of the studio setup. So I have a shortcut to power my cameras on. I have a shortcut to power my cameras off. One press on the Stream Deck, by the way. So I have a Stream Deck. Just press a button. Nice. All the cameras go off, and they start charging. And it took a little tinkering with the timing of the shortcut. So you had to go in there and change some of the time parameters and stuff like that to make it work just right. But it works. It's solid. So you just hit on, cameras come on. You hit off, cameras go off. It's pretty cool.
See, that's amazing. The fact that you can do that with shortcuts is kind of you're essentially almost learning to code, but in a friendly UI environment. Yeah. So that's what I really liked about it. So if you guys want to check that video out and learn how to map your action button, we'll link it down below. And like I said, it's an infinite canvas because you can create. Technically, you can only have 8 menu options, but then you can have menu options inside of the menu options, and you can keep going and going and going if you really want to. So you can definitely get lost in there. But other than that, it's been a quiet week. So take us to the next level, man. What are we doing today?
So last week we did a little top 5 and about the top 5 Apple products, and AirPods won that round. But we thought it'd be cool to do another top 5. We're not going to do this every week, so don't worry.
Yeah.
But, we kind of wanted to use this last week, but we thought it would be too much. So we want to do top 5 features/services. So it could be a feature or it could be a service that you just think is instrumental to your workflow and that you can't live without. So that's basically the premise of today's show. Top 5 features/services for Apple users.
And leave some comments before we start. I'm curious to know what you guys have as maybe your number one. Like, what's something that you cannot live without when it comes to the Apple ecosystem? And then we'll compare at the end of it and see. You guys can kind of compare to what we said, you know.
And we'll try to keep it drilled down, so it's not going to be super broad. We're going to like pick one feature that maybe it's part of a broader feature set, but we're going to try to keep it simple. So the first one, to me, my number one, and hopefully you will agree, is the continuity feature that allows you to copy and paste across multiple devices. So like I could copy a photo on my Mac and then quickly paste it on my iPhone or on my iPad. And so that the feature, or copy a URL and then paste it directly into Safari on iPhone or Mac or whatever the case may be. That is, to me, a feature that I use every single day. And it's a feature that a lot of new Apple users that are in the Apple ecosystem, once they figured that you can do that, they're like blown away as well.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you. Similar to the AirPods take that we did last week, man. Continuity is something I use every day, and maybe we should do a video of stretching the limits of how far you can go with it, because, you know, obviously you can copy and paste text. You can copy and paste photos across your devices as well. You can copy and paste videos. I wonder how far that goes. Like, can you copy and paste like a 10 gig file to your Mac, you know, from iPhone to Mac? I kind of want to see what limitations it has all the way at that extreme end, but man, I use that thing every day, and then it's just so easy. You know, you copy it from your Mac, you paste it onto your Safari tab in your iPhone, and you just press like paste and go, and it directly goes to that Safari or to that website, and it works across all of your applications, all your devices. It's one of those things that kind of just is magical. And sometimes I've had a couple situations where maybe it doesn't work, and I get so upset when it doesn't work. I just expect it to work. I'm like, why isn't it working today? I love continuity. Continuity is definitely one of those features where if it is gone, if it's not working, then you realize how often you really use that thing.
I use it every single day, multiple times a day. I'm always pasting between devices, and it's just the fact that it just works pretty much 95% of the time. Is awesome. So yeah, that's my number one feature. Something I use all the time. I don't really even need to talk more about it. If you've used it, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that are just like simple, and it works. And those usually are the best things to have. You know, it's just easy for the workflow. And again, it works with like any app. So like if I want to copy something from, you know, my text over into an Excel cell, as long as I'm on Mac OS using Excel, it's going to work, which is crazy. Yep. So continuity. Let us know if you agree with that one. I'm going to jump in here with mine in terms of what I think is a good service or feature. And I'm going to go with iCloud Photos. You know, I kind of, like we talked earlier, I kind of wanted to go with just like the whole syncing feature in general, but that's too broad. I'm going to go with the photos, like the photo stream or iCloud photo syncing, because again, it's one of those things that just works. Depending on how big the file is, it could take a little while to actually go to your other devices, but the idea is you take a photo or video on your iPhone, it's going to show up on your iPad, on your Mac, on any other device that has the Photos application. And the reason I'm going to put it on here is because I literally used it yesterday where, I took a video on my iPhone. I wanted to see it on my iPad, but then also put it onto my SSD. So it showed up on my iPad. I didn't have my iPhone next to me, and I was able to like offload it from my iPad from iCloud Photos into my SSD. So I was like, I didn't have to like go through an AirDrop phase or transfer it over physically. It was just already on my iPad, which was amazing. And it was a pretty big file too. It was like a 4 gig video that showed up like 3 minutes after I was done pressing record. So as long as you have good Wi-Fi speeds, it uploads very, very quickly.
Yeah, I would agree. It's one of the things that makes a product like the Vision Pro so appealing, is because like just iCloud in general makes that product work, because like once you log in, all your stuff's just there. All your spatial videos are there. All your photos, your regular videos, your panoramic photos, all those things are just there. And it's fairly seamless. You don't really have to jump through a lot of hoops. Now, granted, Apple isn't the only one that does this. Like Google is very good at this too. It's not like some exclusive to Apple feature. Like even when you compare the continuity feature, the copy and paste, like that's more of an Apple ecosystem thing. Like I know some Windows devices can do this with some Android phones, I've heard. I haven't actually tested it, but it's nothing to the scope of in the Apple ecosystem. Like, I even think you can do it on the Apple TV if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I agree. Photos is it just works. That being said, I'm getting rid of all this, man. I'm tired of paying for this stupid Apple One thing. I'm going on my little tangent. I'm tired of paying almost $40 for Apple One. Every time I get that bill, I just get I'm just annoyed. Man. I'm annoyed. Yeah. It's like, why am I paying $40 a month to Apple to base? I don't use Apple Arcade really.
No,
I do use Apple TV a little, but
yeah, for some shows here and there.
I do use the Apple Music family plan. So if I was going to ditch Apple or Apple One, I would just get the Apple Music family plan.
Yeah. But then at that point, isn't it like $20? Just spend a little more, you know?
No,
to get
Apple I don't want to. I don't want to.
The Apple it's like ladder.
Yeah, it's like I just that $40, man. It's like a slap. Like every time I get that, I'm like, man, that hurts.
And it used to be 32, and before that, I think it was.
It keeps going up.
Yeah, every 6 months, they're like, oh, just so you know, it's going up another $5.
Yeah, like that's.
But you're not giving me anything extra, you know?
Yeah, and y'all still offering that same lame 5 gigabytes iCloud stuff. I'm sorry for going on this tangent, but I'm tired of Apple One. So what I just did recently, I actually used their Google Takeout feature, which allows you to download all of your iCloud data, including all your photos. So you can break it up in like 25 gigabyte chunks. Ooh. It takes forever though. It took like a week before I got the email that actually gave me the files to download. But so that's what I plan on doing, man. I'm not sitting here. I don't care about going back in the history of my photos, because 9 times out of 10, when I get one of those things, what you did this time last year, it's just a screenshot or me ranting and raving on camera, just me, like,
that's
or
so
maybe
true.
my cat,
right.
But I don't really take photos and videos like that, because 9 times out of 10, it's something work related on my phone, and my phone just looks lame. Like when you go through all the screenshots, it's like screenshot here, screenshot here, screenshot here,
or like 18 videos in a row of me just sitting at my chair, like talking into this mic right here. You know?
Yeah. Like that's not. I'm not the person that this is targeting. Clearly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my little tangent about just not liking paying $40 a month for Apple One.
No, man, I agree with you. I mean, if it wasn't for I don't even know. I think what's tying me to it is probably the family plan feature, because my wife is the one that takes all the pictures, and we're on the same family plan, and you know, she uses a lot of those 2 terabytes taking pictures of my daughter and things like that. But yeah, I don't really use it for that feature. Like my phone is essentially just like a work camera, you know,
basically,
which is crazy. So like you said, Apple Music. I don't even use Apple Music, man. I use Spotify, so I don't need Apple One. Apple Arcade, every now and then I'll throw a game of 2K on, but I don't play enough. What else do you get? The 2 terabytes of storage, Apple TV. I mean, I like Ted Lasso, but I can pay the $5.99 a month separately if I want to. I think that's all that it brings, right? There's probably a couple more things in there that I'm missing, but obviously it's not important enough for me to remember it.
To your point, it's your wife is the one that takes the majority of the meaningful photos in your relationship. Yeah. Same with me. Like I don't really take meaningful photos like that, but she takes a ton of photos, and she has the majority of the storage that is being used. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to try to convince her that, hey, we're gonna have to do some Google Takeout alternative for you too. I'm gonna have to burn some Blu-ray disc, man.
Google Photos is $1.99 for, I think, the same amount of storage, and they keep the same what's it called? The same quality of photo. It syncs right away. You get videos. Like I have Google Photos, and I have older photos in my Google Photos that I do on my like iOS Photos app, which is crazy. I know I just said that syncing photos across my devices is my second favorite feature, but yeah, it's still a little expensive. It's at a premium for sure.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, that's a fair enough point. I mean, I don't know if I put it at number 2, but I would say top 5 is reasonable. Yeah. Now, the next feature I think is definitely up there is iCloud Keychain. And iCloud Keychain, hopefully iOS 18 will bring this to the fore where it's actually its own standalone application, because it's super annoying how, like, I can't tell you how annoying it is I'm sorry, I feel like a really negative person right now.
No, bring it. Hopefully Apple's listening, you know?
I'm going to try to be positive now. But it is a little annoying Or maybe I should present it like it's an opportunity for improvement.
I'm going to try to be positive. It's only a little annoying this time.
Yeah. But like, it's iCloud Keychain is a good service. It's a good product, but it's buried within like all these different menus. If, for instance, if you want to access it, I mean, you can go through the settings app on your Mac, but then you got to go to like Safari, and then you go to, what is it? You go to preferences, and then you go to, it's convoluted the way you get to your data within iCloud Keychain. There should be like a standalone application for that. Not to mention the fact that they have like your credit card data and stuff stored in a separate location under autofill. Like, who thinks of that? Like, who would even think to go there?
Very broken. Like the way that I find that password, because I don't even know where to go to the settings to find it. I have to use Spotlight to find it, on my iPhone, because that's how buried into the settings it is. And you mentioned it's a great app. It works as intended. Like it works perfectly with Face ID and Touch ID. Saves all the information that you need. It even tells you when stuff is compromised or if you should switch your password. It creates your own passwords for you if you want to. Which do you let iCloud create those like crazy passwords for you?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I wish there was a better way to like customize like I know you can customize them on a 1-to-1 basis, but I wish there was like a rule you could set up within iCloud Keychain to say, hey, these are my rules for, because you can do that with like 1Password and stuff like that. You can set up a rule. But the reason why I picked this as my top feature is one subset of this feature. Well, two mainly. So two-factor authentication, like codes, which you can store directly within iCloud Keychain, which is great. So you can have like your QR code and you have all that stored there. So that's wonderful, because now it's like I'm not relying on a second authentication app. You can just do it all in one fell swoop. You have your password and you have your authentication code in one place. You click, bam, bam, you're logged in. But what's even greater, I don't even know if this is, I think I'm kind of confusing two different features. Okay, so the two-factor authentication with that is great because you can, like I said, authorize it within Safari. But also another feature that Apple has, which is adjacent to this feature, I guess you could say, is when you get one of those 6-digit codes from a phone number. Yeah. So it's not stored in your iCloud Keychain, but it's one of those that is linked to your phone number. It's an SMS text. They send you the 6-digit code. And now you don't have to open your phone up, look at your phone, and try to... No, you just click a button. It automatically pops up right there within Safari. And says, you just click and bam, it enters right there. So it's all synced, comes from your iPhone, and it'll even now delete the text or the email that you get automatically. So you're not cluttered with all those little authentication codes in your messages app.
And it's true. I mean, they brought it over to only the Apple Mail app is supported right now, I believe, right? Because that's a new feature. It used to only be with the SMS text. Now, if you do use Apple Mail, which I don't know about you, but it does also autofill, which is amazing. Because I do get some that only go to my email, which is kind of annoying. So I got to go into my email, copy and paste it, and do that thing. But if it comes to SMS text, again, it's I've seen that meme on Twitter go viral like 37 times, which is like, this person deserves a raise, or whoever came up with this deserves a raise. Because it's true. It's one of those things that you didn't know you wanted, but once it's there, if you take that away from me, I'm pissed.
It's a good feature for sure. So that sort of, I know it was a little convoluted explanation. I apologize for that, but it's a great feature, both of those. So with all that being said, I'll just quick mention another, like one of my top features could arguably be passkeys, although it's not as prolific yet but that solves everything, because now you just have a passkey, you authenticate with your biometric data, and you're signed into the site. The more we see websites and services start to adopt passkeys, we're seeing it roll out at a pretty steady clip now. A lot of these problems will be solved. And
so is that what passkey is?
Yeah.
Because I have noticed that Apple ID, you have an option to do that. There was another service that I use that asked me if I wanted to use my passkey. I think it's Google, honestly. And I usually say no, because I don't know I haven't tried to set it up. So is that what that is?
Yeah. So it's really cool. What it does is you just click and it authenticates with your with your biometric data, and bam, you're logged in. It's that simple. Now, obviously, there's a lot of handshaking going on behind the scenes to make that work, but from the end user's perspective, it's just like you're just authenticating and you're logged in. So, and 1Password supports passkeys now, so you can store. It's a great feature. I think it's going to take a while for it to be more visible and more supported, but
accessible maybe, or like for people to want to use that. Because even me, like I still, when people like when those services ask me if I want to use a passkey, I still like, no, I'd rather use my password, or no, like I'd rather you 2FA me through my email, for like, because again, I don't really know what the passkey is. For some reason, originally I thought it was like one of those like little drives that you use in like the crypto world, or that's what I thought I wanted. But I guess no, they just want to use your biometrics from your phone.
So basically what this does is it eliminates the need for a second factor, because your phone is your second factor, right?
Yeah.
Like it knows that you are who you say you are, right? So that along with your username, you're logged in. I think the onus is on us really to explain this to people, to help them to see that this is something that is useful. Now I'll probably do a video on it actually.
We should definitely, we should get Jeff on a video for that one to explain it. Because it's true, it's way faster. Like I don't like really, I mean, I know that we mentioned that the SMS thing is nice and easy, but going into my email to find the 2FA, or I still have like the Google Authenticator app on my phone, and some like my LinkedIn and my Facebook need it. I don't really go on those that often anymore, but when I do, it's kind of annoying to find. So being able to use just your phone and your biometrics is awesome.
Another cool thing about Passkey is that it's browser agnostic. So like I can log in with my Passkey on Google Chrome just the way I could log in with my as long as the website supports it. Like I just logged into Best Buy's website and I just clicked use my Passkey, and then it used my Touch ID sensor on my Mac to log in.
Nice.
I didn't create a specific passkey for Google Chrome. It just knew that, because obviously the Mac and Chrome supports passkeys. I don't know. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, but it's...
No, I mean, I definitely know what it is more now than what I thought it was. I literally thought it was like you needed a UB key to like plug into your Mac or plug into your iPhone, and that's what it was. That was a physical key that you needed.
I hate talking about stuff, but I haven't prepared to talk about it. This guy's a bumbling.
But that's when you know you got it. That's when you know what you're talking about. If you can just off the dome know exactly what's going on.
I don't know about all that. Maybe. So, what's your next feature?
I mean, that's a perfect segue into Touch ID, Face ID, just like biometric unlock in general. When Apple brought that over to the iPhone 5S, I think it was. Yeah. So Touch ID coming to the 5S was awesome, and then Face ID. It was one of those things that, again, just worked like magic. It gets you into your bank account information. It gets you into your bank account apps. All your passwords are locked behind your face, which is crazy. It's one of those things that I think we take for granted because it just works so easily. Like I want Apple to be able to license stuff like Face ID and Touch ID to other third-party manufacturers, because I love Touch ID on my Mac. Touch ID on my Mac is awesome, but sometimes I have it in clamshell mode. Sometimes I'm too far away from it. And I want to be able to have like my keyboard have Touch ID without having to, go to get the one directly from Apple. So
gotcha.
But I do think that Touch ID and Face ID as a biometric unlock, or just as an unlock feature, it's definitely got to be a top 5. Because think about it, how many times a day do you use it? Without actually hundreds, maybe. Every single time you look at your phone, that's the way to do it. Every time you open up a confidential app or a note that's that you locked up or something like that. So Touch ID and Face ID for sure are in my top 5.
Yeah,
as a feature.
It's hard to disagree with that. I mean, that could be arguably number 1 because we use it that much, and it pretty much just works. And there's never been any like huge that we know of compromises to
right. That's another thing. Like I remember there was a lot of tests early on of people trying to like gamify or just get through it, like pretend like getting a piece of paper with your face on it, or doing it with twins. I remember that was a big one. I think the twin one did work, or maybe it didn't. I forget what that article did, but it is. It just seems very safe. And I know, not to bash on Android, but the Android facial unlock in the beginning, people could get through it with your eyes closed. People could get through it, with the picture of your face and things like that. Versus from the very beginning with the iPhone 10, Face ID just worked.
Yeah, and then Touch ID is still a really good feature as well. It works great on the Mac. To your point, I wish there were more. Like we had a trackpad that used, that had a Touch ID sensor on it. Now, maybe hopefully we'll get Face ID on the Mac, and that'll eliminate, the need for that sort of thing. But
I mean, Apple, the space is there. You put a notch on every Mac now. Just throw that thing in there. Miles back in the day made a video on the channel with like a 3D printed mold and Touch ID, putting Touch ID on the Apple trackpad. It was definitely a DIY situation, but it was cool because it worked.
Yep.
Yeah. So Apple let people, does Apple license that Touch ID? There's no third party.
No.
Yeah, no third party manufacturer uses Face ID or Touch ID.
I doubt there ever will be. Just with all this secure enclave, like how that has to handshake with that. I don't imagine there would be ever, but hopefully Apple will make more products with that as an option. Hopefully.
Who knows? And then my last question to you on what you think. For the iPhones, do you think Apple will ever leave Face ID to do an under-display Touch ID? Or give you both options, ever?
I could see where some people would still need Touch ID in some very limited use cases, but it seems like a regression. It seems like you're going backwards. Because
there's a tiny bit of friction because you got to put your thumb there or you got to put your finger there versus your face is just always there.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Like it's just that's just more money that they would have to spend not only on R&D, but on implementing the feature, and that's going to cut into their bottom line unless they want to raise prices again, which they're not. Hopefully they're perfectly fine doing that, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the real benefit, from a broad use case scenario. Yeah, a few users out there would appreciate it, but no one I know that has a Face ID phone is like, oh, I wish I still could use my fingerprint.
Yeah. Have there been, what situations have you been in where Face ID maybe didn't work?
Like back with the mask situation when that first was a thing, that was a big deal. Then they solved that issue.
Because you wear glasses, right? No issues with glasses?
No, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time it doesn't work for me is which again, you shouldn't be doing that, opening your phone while you're driving. But if it's super sunny and I have sunglasses on, then sometimes it gives me keep trying. But other than that, it's worked every time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think
that's top 5.
That's the top 5. That's a good solid top 5. I know there's tons of other things we could have picked. Obviously,
no, wait, I think we need one more. Was that?
That
was 4, right?
So, Touch ID, continuity, the copy paste thing. Yeah. We have the iCloud keychain / autofill. We have Apple Photos.
Yeah, that's 4.
That's 4. Huh.
We got one more?
Got one more.
I mean, I'm stuck between, I know you don't use it too often, universal control and sidecar, those features. From time to time, I mean, you got a mobile workstation. Every now and then I go to a WeWork and people are using their iPads as a second monitor with their Macs. Big time. Because if you have an iPad, why go out and spend $500 on a portable monitor? Because it works with any iPad. You don't need the latest and greatest iPad for something like Sidecar.
To me, it's just it's too small, man. The resolution is it seems like one of those features that you just do because you can, not because it's I've never looked at it oh, I have a second monitor now because I have my iPad next to me. I've never looked at it like that, but maybe I'm in the minority on that. Maybe that's maybe a lot of people do use Sidecar. I'm sure.
I guess for us, or at least for me, if I'm leaving the battle station where I have all this screen real estate, then I know that I'm leaving it and I'm happy with just my 12.9-inch iPad Pro or my 13-inch MacBook Air. I know, I guess, psychologically that's all I'm going to have at a coffee shop or whatever the case is. But again, I do see people using their, maybe they don't have this workstation. They don't have this battle station all the time. So they do have that iPad as their sidecar to extend their display or just have an Excel sheet up on the iPad while they're doing stuff on their main screen. So I've seen a lot of people use it. That's why I bring it up. And, when it came out, I thought it was awesome. I don't use it quite as often as I used to, but it kind of also just falls into the continuity ecosystem kind of category because, yes, you can extend your screen, but then also universal control, you can drag and drop files in between your Mac and iPad with the same peripherals. So it's again, one of those magical things that just happens when you're in the ecosystem. Yeah,
technically, I think it's super impressive. I'm not knocking it from a technical standpoint. I'm just the iPad the 12.9-inch iPad with the Magic Keyboard's already like heavier than my Mac.
It is,
so I'm not gonna be lugging that thing around alongside.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, technically it's a super impressive feature. And to your point, I do like the ability to control multiple devices with a single input. That is really nice, and it does for the most part just work. So I wouldn't object to including that on there. I mean, I think that it is technically super impressive. For me personally, I don't use it.
Okay. No, for sure. I mean, like I said, I don't use it day to day, but I do like the feature a lot, and I like that it's there. So we could put it in the top 5. And then one more like miscellaneous one that I have was live text, because I use that a lot. I don't know if you use that in your photos. Being able to copy and paste actual text from the real world into like a notes app, or being able to call somebody just by clicking on the numbers on a picture. Same thing goes with QR codes. Like if somebody sends you a picture of a QR code, you used to have to like you use another phone to scan that QR code that was on your phone. Now you just press a little button on the bottom right, and you can go directly where that QR code is sending you. So just little things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a valid top feature for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we got. And that's 6. So it's probably like a top 4 with like a honorable mention situation.
Yeah, I think that the top 3 definitely stand out head and shoulders above the rest. But yeah, then the others. No, I would say a top 4. I think Touch ID is definitely, and Face ID should maybe even be number 1. Like,
it's because it's one of those most used. Like to get into your phone, to get into your laptop, you gotta. I guess you could use your passcode, but people aren't doing that. But at the end of the day, it's just like what I'm learning with the services, and it's just all about the ecosystem. Everything just kind of works. It just depends on what you use it day to day, what part of the ecosystem is part of your workflow, and a lot of what Apple has been able to do, again, just seems like magic. You know,
it just works.
It just works, man. Think different, as they say. You know. And I mean, you made a good point with the Vision Pro too, where it's like it relies heavily on iCloud because you can't plug any peripherals into it. It is just an iCloud reliant machine. iCloud is very important. So I don't know if you should get rid of Apple One, man.
I'm trying, man. I don't know if I can. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm about to get back to the Blu-ray disc, man. I'm about to burn some Bluray disc.
Download what was that app that I used to use a lot? Handbrake, when I used to port stuff over to my iPad video or iPod video back in the day. The good old days, man. Things were a little simpler. But I mean, take us home, bro. What else we got looking forward to next week?
Hopefully iPads. So hopefully this time next week we'll be talking to you about the new iPads and the new features, and hopefully some things will be really exciting with that. And of course we have a lot of upcoming stuff to do as well. We talked about the studio setup, so we'll have that. The video's done, and just there's a couple little things that I messed up and I gotta fix. So so there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Also, if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating. Some of you have already left us some reviews. We appreciate that a lot. And that does make a big difference to surface this show and make it make others know that it's legit. And also thumbing up the episode always helps. That does more, in my opinion, than anything. It's like to propagate the what's on YouTube to help other people find it.
Absolutely. And leave some questions down below, guys. We definitely want to have a little segment at the end, maybe answering 2 or 3 questions that people have, and kind of just bringing the engagement into the actual podcast. You know, mention some names or some usernames and things like that. So it'd be fun to kind of include that. And be on the lookout for some other guests coming too.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a good weekend, and
you too.
We will catch you next week. See you guys. Take care.
See ya.